All right, what's good is Dejon Paul from the LA Rap Report card at Daily Magazine, and we have another response video regarding Fair to Say. That's the topic real quick. I've been seeing more clips from At the End of the Day. Their revamped cast is speaking about the Fair to Say breakup and Fair to Say being canceled. Obviously, you guys know I was on that show for a few months last year. I just posted a video. Dejon Paul celebrates Fair to Say being canceled, and I did celebrate it. I popped a bottle. I was happy to see it canceled because I feel like, it got trash. After I quit, after I left, it was just downhill. It was trash. It was boring. Like I said, they had no viral moments outside of when like a boxer went on there and paid them $500 to choke them out. That type of gimmicky shit. But real narratives weren't being addressed. It was too much PC shit going on, a lot of bias shit going on, just, fake shit going on. So anywho, let's respond to this clip. Hold on, let me pull it up on the screen. Of AD, DoKnow, and T-Rell discussing it. Let's check it out.
Yeah, man, I seen that she said I was calling it fair to gay.
She said we all said that. I don't remember
calling it fair to gay.
DoKnow definitely called Fair to Say fair to gay. Once I started being on the show, he wasn't the only person that was making gay jokes. And I guess Illa's point, during a phone call with Pun last week, she was pointing out, or maybe during Ladies Night, she was pointing out that the higher ups had a negative effect on the show, like they didn't promote it, and said that like these type of jokes hurt the show overall and hurt the brand of Fair to Say. But let's keep watching. But DoKnow definitely called the show fair to gay.
But I think
she said you was upstairs talking shit about the show.
Nah, the only time I said something was when Lazar came in here and did that shit. That was it.
This is my only thing. I think entitlement plays a big part, because I feel like and that's just with anybody. I feel like everybody that's been on this platform always complains about what we didn't do. But I think we're a great representation of when you stop fucking crying the whole fucking time and just do what the fuck you gotta do and be entertaining. Y'all could have competed with us, just like what we did on No Jumper. We went in there and it wasn't always 500K views, 1 million views, 250K views. That shit built to that. So much complaining. You were just so worried about what the fuck we weren't doing. That when we went to No Jumper, when we were on No Jumper, they didn't do us our merch. You know who did our merch? T-Rell did.
Also put himself in the middle, like the biggest person.
Yes, but that's fine. But at least he took initiative to do something.
Yes.
And I think when people just when it's kind of like if you play for Tom Brady. Like, yeah, you have the greatest quarterback throwing you footballs. You still have to get your hands right and your speed right. So all this crying about what we could have done or what you could have done or more support, why not prove to us that y'all could have just took over and we would have just, we knew.
Let me pause it there. I agree with him 100% on that point. This is a rare Dejon Paul agreeing with DoKnow take. I agree with him, and these are things that I said on camera, on different shows, on Fair to Say, in front of everybody, in meetings, in group text and whatnot. I wasn't one of the people that was, the higher-ups need to post us. The higher-ups need to come sit on the show with us. They need to promote us more. That was Stat and Illa pushing that bullshit, and Scott. I never pushed for that. I wanted us to stand on our own. I felt like you had me, somebody who's well-known on the West Coast for the Rap Report card. You had Scotty, who has this viral suburban LA brand. You have Illa, who's a fan favorite in FMW, and then you have Stat, who, even though he wasn't liked, nor did he have a social media following, I think he was a great moderator. So I felt like you had a cast that was talented enough to get the job done without all the extra promotion and effort from higher ups. It was obvious, it was clear as day that the higher ups had that show there so that there could be content on the channel that they didn't have to work hard to get. If they have to do all that work, then they might as well just sit on camera and do another show themselves. They had us there at that table, so to take the load off of them, pause. So I agree with DoKnow. When my co-host would cry about, y'all not posting us, y'all not promoting us, but then you go to Stat Instagram and not one post is Fair to Say. You go to Illa Instagram and she never once posted Fair to Say while I was on the show. Stet never once posted Fair to Say when I was on the show. Scotty never once posted Fair to Say when I was on the show. I was the only person at the table that would post the show, clips from the show on my Instagram. Everybody else would make like story posts, but I'm the only one who would post actual clips of the show on Instagram. And T-Rell pointed that out, and I pointed that out when I went to Ace Boys Worldwide. The same day I told everybody that Stet cried. But that was part of my whole issue, was that I'm the only person at this table that's posting. I'm the only person at this table that's willing to talk about uncomfortable things, uncomfortable narratives that are juicy and that will actually get people to click on the episode. Everybody else at the table is happy when we're doing 10, 12, 14K views. Oh, we are family, we brothers and sisters, everybody's smiling. I'm like, nah, that shit sucks. I don't want to have the least successful show on this platform. So I start turning up the drama so that we could get to 30, 40, 50K, and then everybody's miserable. Nobody wants to come to work. Nobody wants to film. So it's clear that DoKnow is right. I feel like the rest of the cast, not me, excluding me, the rest of the cast put too much weight and pressure on the higher-ups to do all the work. They were lazy and they didn't want to do the work. They didn't want to talk about anything where they would feel uncomfortable, and they didn't want to promote the show either. They didn't want to talk about what was really going on, like Stet crying, or like Illa fucking TF at Apollo. Any of the things that, if we had said at the table, would have made the episode viral. And my last point before we continue on is, now what I did want the higher ups to do, and what y'all saw me sit on camera with all the higher ups on Shame on You, was I wanted them to speak to everybody about all the excessive gay jokes. That was my one request that I made to the higher-ups on camera. Look up Dejon Paul Says Enough with the Gay Jokes. It's a Shame on You episode. I went on there. I sat with the owners of the company, and I was like, look, I've had enough with the gay jokes. Every time I respond, they're like, Dejon, you doing too much. So why don't y'all tell people to ease up off of it? That way I ain't got to crash out. I ain't got to talk about no any mama. I ain't got to talk about no any friend. I ain't got to do this, that, and the third, because the owner said cut out all the gay jokes, but they never did that. So I guess I did have a request of the higher ups myself. It just wasn't promote the show or come sit on the show with us. That wasn't my request. My request was ease up on the gay jokes. But let's keep going.
What the process was like, the bag isn't there right away. And I think everybody, six, am I right? Everybody knew what it was. I think exposure was the right thing. You know, they all have their individual platforms that I think was helping the girl, right? But I just think the entitlement is just so crazy when I hear everybody talk about.
Only Scott and I had our own platforms. Me with a Dan LA and LA Rap Report. Well, Rap Report called I have two platforms. Scotty with Suburban LA. Stet had no platform outside of the table. Illa has no platform or social media presence outside of the table. And then Scotty only showed up once a week. Scotty only did, out of 3 episodes a week, Scotty only did one. So normally, there's only one person at the table with the platform outside of the show, and that's me.
Like, Fair to Say, and the fucking football show, and this and that, and it's like, stop your fucking crying. You guys cry too fucking much.
Okay, I'll leave that there. I agree with him. I agree with DoKnow. I feel like Illa complaining about the show not getting enough support from the higher-ups is typical Illa. No accountability, no responsibility for the show she was supposedly the A-mic on. She's doing what, women, I expect a woman to do, lacking accountability, being unable to say, you know what, Fair to Say got canceled because I was boring. That's what Illa is failing to say. She needs to look into the camera and admit the show got canceled because she's boring. She refuses to talk about her private life. She refuses to talk about her dating life, even though her dating life coexists with the platform. It'd be different if you was dating people and sleeping with people outside the platform. But when you've dated so many and slept with so many different figures in FMW, it would make sense that you would talk about that on the show, just like Ash Bash used to date Smack. That comes up on the show. It would be fake and weird and dull and boring and scary and PC if we were to sit here and act like Ash Bash and Smack didn't used to fuck. No, let's use that as content. That's just an example. So again, I'm agreeing with DoKnow so far. Let's get, I think we got a T-Rell take. I think I saw something on here about T-Rell. T-Rell's take on Fair to Say. Let's get to it.
All up though. I'm really just glad that shit is a weight off my shoulder, because like I said, we all kind of the same. We mesh and we got chemistry together because we kind of like really the same. We cared a lot about other motherfuckers, AD he never gonna say no. He gonna try his best to say yeah, cause you gonna try your best to put your friends in the best position that ever you could. I'm gonna try to do my best.
Yeah.
Pun is gonna try to bring everybody from 1999 with him. You know what I mean? Like he gonna come, bitch. We gonna try to have a good time,
100%.
and we tried to bring that into this, and with that, not saying because we got some good talent. You know what I'm saying? I recruited some good talent to sit here to put together, and I feel
100%
a good show. But you had to sit here and really curate that shit and be here with them and do it with them. You know what I mean? Like somebody had to be sitting here in charge. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Do this, do that. You feel me? Making sure you watching over them, making sure we got a little meetings, talking and shit like that. And we couldn't. I know I can't do it with you every day. You feel me? So I really just put that shit into their hands. Like, okay, all these motherfuckers is responsible human beings. They got it. You know what I'm saying?
Have their own companies.
They got companies, business. So I'm thinking, you know what I'm saying?
It's gonna be easy cruise for them.
I understand what T-Rell is saying. I just said it, that the higher ups, including T-Rell, they weren't interested in babysitting. They weren't looking to babysit the Fair to Say table. We weren't children. And I think, again, that's reflected. After I left, the Fair to Say table started to look like the kids' table again. I used to refer to it as the kids' table, with Illa Six and Tiny sitting there. It looked like the kids' table with some old creepy uncle there, being Tiny. In my opinion, I wanted us to be a new wave, a new era bosses. When I spoke to T-Rell about the show when I first joined, I was like, I'm going to make this a new hottest podcast on the West Coast. Watch. And I was on my way to doing that. I think the insubordination and just the overall cavalier disregard for success and motion that both Illa and Stet has hindered the show. That's why their music careers didn't go anywhere, if I can speak frank, because they don't have that drive. They can fail and go to sleep at night peacefully. Like I'm the type I don't get good rest until I succeed at something. I have that dog in me. Illa and Stet don't have that in them. So they were content with the show doing 10K views, 12K views, 14K views. As long as they be pretending to be nice to each other on camera and they can fake call each other friends and brother and sister and we a family, they're cool. As long as the emotional stability was there. Whereas I disregard the emotional stability. I could care less about how you feel about me. I just want the views to increase. I just want the comments to increase. I just want the buzz around the show to increase. And people might say that makes me a bad person, a miserable human being, XYZ. But no, that's me doing my job. I prioritize the job over feelings and friendship and kindness any day of the week. Another thing to T-Rell's point is, if you're going to bring together a table of people and not supervise them or babysit them, as you're kind of insinuating, you do have to point out and pick a designated leader. And it seemed like you guys were saying Stet, but as I pointed out, Stet was not strong enough to lead the table. You can't be my leader if I sit there and watch you cry about a chair. You get what I'm saying? Like if you break down crying real tears about a chair like I saw him do, it's hard for me to respect you as my leader. Or if we film an episode and then we film another episode, then we film another episode and you ain't post nothing about it on your social media, but you the leader. But you not posting the show that you supposedly leading. You get what I'm saying? Like and then even like when Pun or Smack told him, hey, we don't want you sitting here, we're gonna have Illa sitting here, he couldn't follow that instruction. How you gonna be our leader but you can't take instruction? A good leader can follow well. You disregard authority. The higher ups told you we don't want you sitting here, we want Illa sitting here, switch seats with her, and you refused to, and to the point where you started crying until you could sit there, and we filmed the episode with you sitting where you was told not to. If you disregard authority, why should I respect your authority? So I feel like they also picked the wrong leader, having Stet lead the table. You already kicked him off of Back on Fig and told him to his face that he didn't come up with the idea for the show. So why was he pointed as a leader? I like Stet as the moderator. I like Stet doing the intro and the outro and transitioning us to topics and reading the ads and shit, the clerical stuff. I appreciate that. He has those tendencies. He's neat. but I do not see him as a leader. Again, if you sit here and cry in front of me, hold up production for a whole hour plus because you want to cry over a chair instead of just sitting in the other chair and potting, how can you be my leader? How can I feel confident in your decision making? So there was that, and then obviously Scotty was only on 1 episode a week. For whatever reason, he could only make it to 1 out of 3 episodes a week. Illa's a woman. So it's like the clear leader obviously was me, the person who's posting the show the most, the person who's coming up with the most topics, the person with the most virality at the table. That's me. But, you know, you guys chose Stat, and you see how those things went. But before I move forward, let me just read this last comment. So my official response was T-Rell's jealous homies, a.k.a. the Apollo, ruined his new show / product, fair to say. Let me read that again. T-Rell's jealous homies, a.k.a. the Apollo, ruined his new show product, fair to say. They got at me with gay jokes even after I said stop, then played victim when I responded. They gaslit Stet into quitting the show when it wasn't that deep. One of them fucked Illa and has her dickmatized brainwashed. Scotty was just thirsty and on their dick from jump, only to be disregarded. I've said it before, it should have been fair to say versus Apollo content. That would have continually elevated the show. So I'm saying that because, and I said this before when I first started doing it, Danley, after I departed from FMW, MacWop, Keem, and Tiny don't want to see their homie doing better than them. They feel like you're not smarter than them. They feel like you can't beat them in a fade. You're not more tougher than them. You're definitely not more street. Some of them might feel like you're not even from what you're claiming. So they question your street credibility, they question your toughness, they question your relationships, they question your intelligence, they question your own homies question everything about you, and you still think they want the best for you. No, you think they want to see you. Not only do you have Back on Fig successful, but now here you come with a new show called Fair to Say, and you think that your jealous homies was going to sit back and support you having a new show. No, because then you would be doing better than them. Back on Fig already doing better than Apollo. Then you're going to start another show that you ain't even got to sit on camera. These just, little homies, and it's doing better than them? No. So they sabotaged, as I just listed, they sabotaged, fair to say, every chance they got. I caught on to it because I'm very wise and discerning. I caught on to it and I was like, look, let's turn this into content. Fair to Say versus Apollo. They was the one who started that who's the A mic, Illa or Stat. They started that tension. That whole narrative came from the Apollo. Stat needs to quit. Stat needs to stop letting people disrespect him like that. That comes from the Apollo. Oh, can't trust Dejon. He gay. He trying to sleep with T-Rell. He trying to sleep with Pun. He over there being messy, walking around in a nightgown, stirring up a teapot, trying to be messy on some Wendy Williams shit. Where did that narrative come from? The Apollo. All the narratives that negatively affected Fair to Say come from the Apollo. Apollo was the problem. That's why I tried to get my cast. I have deja vu. I tried to get my cast on one accord. It's like, look, we need Apollo's coming at us. Let's go at them. But what happened instead? Illa's fucking one of them, so she always taking their side. Scotty's thirsty, so when we filming Fair to Say on a random Wednesday night or Tuesday night, Scotty's literally on Apollo live. We're supposed to be filming our show, and our co-host is not there sitting where he's supposed to sit. He's on the Apollo on their live. We're on our phones like, this nigga has us waiting because he's on the Apollo. That type of shit. And then Stet keeps running over there even though they calling him mentally ill and coming up with all these narratives on him and insinuating that he's sleeping with Heather T-Rell's girl. All of this. It was typical cookie cutter mastermind games. I'm the only one who caught up on it. I was the only one who was like, look, Apollo is trying to sink Fair to Say because they don't want T-Rell to have not one but 2 successful shows. 2 more successful shows than they have. And T-Rell didn't see the play. Nobody saw the play. I still feel like people don't see the play. How Fair to Say. Again, think about it. After I left, who was my replacement? Tiny from the Apollo. That is a jealous homeboy textbook move 101. Oh, you got something going on over there? No, we're going to talk shit about it. We're going to cause confusion and corruption over there. And then once they move out the way, we're going to go over there and it's going to fail because we want you to fail. They don't want to see T-Rell be successful. And Heather knows that. Heather definitely knows that. She's not as dumb as T-Rell. She can see that the Apollo wanted Fair to Say to fail, and they got what they wanted. My co-hosts were too idiotic and simple-minded and asinine to see it. Illa's blinded by dick. She's getting fucked by one of them, so she can't see the play. You know, and that's going to happen with a lot of women. Stet just dumb in the wind. Bambi just a transplant from Rockford, Illinois, moving out here. He don't know better. He don't know how LA nigga run the game on him. The nigga's going to make you think they your friend, and then he's telling you to quit. Why would he be telling you to quit? You can go do your own podcast and still come up to Fair to Say 3 times a week and promote it. So why was he telling Stet? Why did Stet need to quit? Even after me and him had our argument, I was still cool with Stet. That shit did what, 50K views? I was ready to do another one. Let's have another argument on camera and another one. Why did you need to quit? But Apollo, Keem and them was telling him to quit, telling him they won't respect him as a man if he went back. That was T-Rell's homie sabotaging him. So, again, I'm being long-winded, but overall, in my opinion, Apollo ruined Fair to Say. T-Rell allowed it. I wouldn't have quit the show if the higher-ups had simply had a conversation with everybody like, hey, Dejon's sick of the gay jokes. Lay off the gay jokes or be prepared for what he says back. I would have never quit the show, but because they couldn't communicate that as business owners, I had to quit. Illa's an Apollo hoe. Scotty is on Apollo's dick. Stet off in the head. It is what it is. You guys let me know your take on this in the comments below. Peace.